Have you ever had a moment where you found yourself in a situation so unexpected that you just couldn't believe what was happening? You're at a luxury restaurant. Everything feels perfect, the ambience, the food, the staff, but then, out of nowhere, a waiter who doesn't know who you are insults you. It might sound like a nightmare, right? Now, imagine that the person being insulted isn't just any random person, they are actually the owner of the restaurant, the one who made it one of the most well-known spots in town. And not just any owner, but Keanu Reeves, the humble, incredibly kind Hollywood actor who is famous for being one of the nicest people in the world. The shock doesn't stop there. Keanu takes it in stride, without raising his voice, teaching all of us a lesson in grace and humility. Before we dive deep into this remarkable story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can hear more amazing, heartwarming tales like this one. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your country in the comments below, and let's see how far this story reaches. It was just another evening at one of Keanu Reeves' most beloved restaurants, a fine dining spot known for its atmosphere and exceptional food. Keanu, who is a true lover of the culinary world, not only acted as a customer in the restaurant, but also took great pride in being an owner who deeply cared about the place. It wasn't unusual for him to visit his establishments to ensure that everything was running smoothly. This particular evening, Keanu walked into his luxury restaurant for a quiet dinner. He wasn't looking for attention or fanfare. He simply wanted to enjoy a meal. He took his seat, not too far from the kitchen, but in a corner where he could take in the whole ambience of the place. To him, this was home, a place of peace, a place where he didn't need to be famous. No one in the restaurant was expecting anything out of the ordinary. It was simply another evening. However, little did Keanu know, there was someone in the restaurant who was about to change the course of his night. A waiter, new to the job, had just been assigned to Keanu's table. He had no idea who Keanu was, something that was about to lead to a rather awkward and uncomfortable moment. The waiter approached Keanu with a menu in hand, ready to take his order. As is often the case in fine dining establishments, the waiter was expected to be polite and professional. But unfortunately, this particular waiter was having an off day. Perhaps he had been rushed, or maybe he was just a bit too confident for his own good. Whatever the reason, he began to speak to Keanu with an unnecessary tone, making remarks that were, at best, out of line. Are you sure you want that dish? It's a little too heavy for someone who looks like they're watching their weight, the waiter said, glancing at Keanu's menu choices with a look that didn't match the usual level of customer service expected at this restaurant. Keanu, unfazed and calm as ever, simply smiled, nodded, and said nothing in response. He didn't react to the insult, choosing instead to maintain his composure and enjoy the atmosphere around him. But the waiter wasn't done yet. He continued, I recommend something lighter, maybe a salad or some pasta, something for someone with taste, you know? His words were sharp and seemed to imply that Keanu's choices weren't good enough for the luxurious restaurant. Keanu, always humble and unfazed by his fame, didn't let the comments get to him. He didn't correct the waiter. He didn't throw his fame around and say, do you know who I am? He simply kept his cool, maintaining a polite and kind demeanor. As the waiter continued to speak with the kind of arrogance that only a person unaware of the situation could muster, Keanu continued to smile, almost as if he was enjoying the absurdity of the interaction. The more the waiter talked, the more it became clear that he had no idea who he was insulting, that he began to criticize the decor, calling some of the restaurant's more unique design choices unnecessary and tacky, all the while not realizing that Keanu himself had been the driving force behind every decision made in the restaurant, from the menu to the art on the walls, that at this point, anyone else would have been boiling with anger. But Keanu Reeves, being the man of grace and patience he is, didn't let the criticism bother him. He just nodded politely, continuing to be the calm center in the middle of a storm that was entirely unnecessary. The moment of truth came when the waiter walked back to the kitchen, chatting with a colleague. It didn't take long before he casually mentioned the customer he had just served, a man who was so unassuming that the waiter had never even thought to ask who he was. His colleague, however, immediately recognized the description. Wait, who did you just serve? Was it the guy at table 7? His co-worker asked, looking puzzled. The waiter, thinking nothing of it, replied, yeah, some guy who was being really picky with the menu. I think he was trying to act all fancy. His co-worker's face turned white. That was Keanu Reeves, the owner of this restaurant.